The 21st century is witnessing the rise of Asia. At the forefront of this ascent are China and India. These two nations, home to over a third of humanity, are economic powerhouses, reshaping the global order. Their growth trajectories have propelled them onto the world stage, but their relationship remains fraught with tension. The dragon and the elephant, as they are often called, are locked in a delicate dance, a mix of cooperation and competition. Both countries have witnessed unprecedented economic growth in recent decades, lifting millions out of poverty. China, with its manufacturing prowess, has become the world's factory. India, with its burgeoning IT sector, is a rising star in the global services industry. Their economies are increasingly intertwined, with bilateral trade reaching record highs. However, this economic interdependence is shadowed by strategic rivalry, making their relationship one of the most complex in the world. The roots of the India-China rivalry run deep. The 1962 war, sparked by the disputed Himalayan border, left a legacy of mistrust. This border, poorly demarcated and a source of historical claims and counterclaims, remains a major point of contention. Both countries have deployed significant military forces along the line of actual control, the de facto border. Military standoffs are frequent, with the most recent and serious one occurring in 2020 in the Galwan Valley. This clash, resulting in casualties on both sides, was the deadliest confrontation in decades. It highlighted the fragility of peace along the LAC and the potential for miscalculation to escalate into a wider conflict. The increased militarization of the border region, coupled with aggressive patrolling and infrastructure development, has created a volatile situation. Adding to the complexity is the strategic dimension. China's growing influence in India's neighborhood, particularly its close ties with Pakistan, is a major concern for New Delhi. Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, while touted as an economic project, is seen by India as a tool to expand its strategic footprint, particularly in the Indian Ocean region. India views this as an encroachment into its sphere of influence. In response to China's growing assertiveness, India has bolstered its own strategic partnerships. The Quad, comprising India, the United States, Japan, and Australia, is seen as a counterweight to China's growing power. While not a formal military alliance, the Quad conducts joint naval exercises and shares intelligence, sending a strong signal to Beijing. Despite the geopolitical rivalry, China and India are economically intertwined. China is India's largest trading partner, and bilateral trade has grown significantly in recent years. India's booming economy needs raw materials and manufactured goods, many of which come from China. China, in turn, sees India as a vast market for its products. This economic interdependence, however, is not without its challenges. India has a massive trade deficit with China, a source of considerable concern in New Delhi. Indian businesses complain about unfair competition from Chinese companies, alleging dumping of cheap goods. There are also concerns about over-reliance on China for critical supplies, as highlighted during the COVID-19 pandemic. Politically, the economic relationship is marked by suspicion and a lack of trust. India is wary of Chinese investments in strategic sectors, fearing they could be used for espionage or to gain control of critical infrastructure. China, on the other hand, is frustrated by what it sees as India's protectionist policies and bureaucratic hurdles. This mix of economic interdependence and political rivalry creates a complex dynamic. On the one hand, both countries recognize the benefits of economic cooperation. On the other hand, they remain suspicious of each other's intentions and are locked in a strategic competition for regional influence. This duality makes it difficult to predict the future trajectory of their relationship. The escalating tensions between India and China have raised concerns about a new Cold War in Asia. Some analysts argue that the two giants are destined for conflict, drawing parallels with the US-Soviet rivalry. Others believe that the economic interdependence between the two countries will act as a constraint, preventing a full-blown confrontation. The reality, as is often the case, is likely to be more nuanced. The relationship is too complex to be defined solely by rivalry or cooperation. There are elements of both, creating a dynamic and often unpredictable situation. The potential for conflict is real, as demonstrated by the recent border clashes. However, there are also compelling reasons for both sides to avoid war. A full-blown conflict would be catastrophic for both countries and the wider region. It would devastate their economies, destabilize global supply chains, and potentially draw in other powers. The costs of war, both human and economic, would be immense. This shared understanding of the potential consequences of conflict acts as a deterrent. However, the risk of miscalculation or an unintended escalation remains high. The heavy military presence along the border, the lack of trust, and the ongoing strategic competition create a volatile mix. The stakes in the India-China relationship are enormous. These are not just two large countries, they are emerging superpowers with global aspirations. The way they manage their relationship will have profound implications for Asia and the world. A peaceful and cooperative relationship would be a boon for global stability and prosperity. However, a descent into conflict would have far-reaching consequences. It would undermine regional and global security, damage the global economy, and set back decades of progress. The world is watching closely as these two giants navigate their differences. The future of Asia, to a large extent, hinges on the choices these two countries make. Will they allow their rivalry to define their relationship, leading to a spiral of mistrust and confrontation? Or will they find a way to manage their differences and build a more cooperative relationship? The answers to these questions will shape the destiny of Asia and the world for generations to come. The world is watching, hoping that wisdom and pragmatism will prevail. Despite the challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Both India and China recognize the need to manage their differences and prevent conflict. Dialogue, though often strained, has continued. There are also areas of potential cooperation, such as climate change, counter-terrorism, and global governance, where their interests align. Building trust is essential to improving relations. Confidence-building measures, such as increased military transparency, de-escalation along the border, and mechanisms for dialogue and dispute resolution are crucial. Both sides need to move away from the rhetoric of suspicion and engage in constructive dialogue. Economic cooperation can also play a role in easing tensions. Addressing the trade imbalance, promoting investment in non-strategic sectors, and fostering people-to-people contacts can help build bridges. A more balanced and mutually beneficial economic relationship can create a shared stake in peace and stability. The road ahead will be challenging, but the pursuit of peace and cooperation must continue. The alternative, a future defined by conflict and mistrust, is too bleak to contemplate. The world is looking to India and China to find a way forward, to demonstrate that even the most complex of relationships can be managed peacefully.